Good evening. The opinions and statements voiced by our guests do not necessarily reflect the opinions of this network. Enjoy the shows.
You're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk only on Paranormal Experience Radio. Broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
We've been expecting you.
Monday, time for our maven of the supernatural, Denise Pridemore. This is the Paranormal Pride. Join to listen and chat live on WBHM-DB.com or Spreaker app. Search WBHM-DB every Monday at 7 p.m. Central for your supernatural paranormal fix. Welcome to the Paranormal Pride, where the show is about the guest and the listener.
Welcome to the Paranormal Pride. I'm your host, Denise Pridemore, and I hope everybody is ready for a wonderful Thanksgiving week. And I know I am, and I'm going to start it off by being thankful for my guests tonight, Jay and Marie Yates. And I know a lot of you have seen them on multiple TV shows, including Ghost Adventures. And, oh, heck, there's not a TV show you guys haven't been on at this point.
Hi, it's nice to having us on.
Well, I know just after I asked you guys to be on, there happened to be 3 shows that I taped that you guys happened to be on, and I went and I watched them. And one was a casino in Arizona, I think it was.
Yeah, the Lutz Casino, yeah.
Yep, and I'd seen it before, and I think, wasn't that also one that you guys did with Ghost Adventures?
Yeah, it was. It's been on 2 shows now. So the first it aired on Haunted Case File Season 2, and then it aired on the season opener, I think it was, for this last season of Ghost Adventures.
And that was your second time on Ghost Adventures, wasn't it?
I think it's like the 6th or something.
6th?
It's something like that. We honestly lost count. I mean, let me see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe the 5th?
Fifth time.
Fifth time? Yeah, 5th time.
Yeah, I was on there once, and that was enough. I'll tell you why.
People say that.
Well, the first time I've heard that.
And it wasn't because of Zach and the guys. It was because of all the nudes and stuff that I got in my Facebook messages.
Oh, wow, that's not cool at all.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I ended up having to block lots and lots of people. And
wow.
I had to get rude with some, and I'm not known for being rude unless I have to be. And so I got to where I had to be, and it was interesting, to be honest. But yeah, it's been a while since I've had to do that. But it just re-aired last week, and I was sitting there going, "Oh, great, not again." So I was hoping that. Well, thank goodness last week it didn't happen again. So
good.
It was like, whew. It was like, ah. So hopefully, because you guys are husband and wife, they saw you guys together. Maybe that's why it didn't happen so horribly to you guys.
Not as bad, but Marie's definitely had a huge problem with that. And earlier on, we started doing television probably about 8 years ago.
Right.
And earlier on, I think she had more of a problem. I think now, after like name association and knowing that I'm there, I think most people just kind of stay away.
I mean, you know those messages you get, and some of them you don't even see you get them because they're sort of like spam messages. That's where a lot of mine go. I don't remember how I did it, but so I don't even see them. I know I still get them. I just leave them alone and don't respond to them at all.
Yeah.
They're looking for a reaction, you know?
Yeah, my reactions were, I can't see what that is.
That's the best reaction to have.
Or is that your thumb? And that would be the big things that I would say. But it was just kind of being rude back.
Yeah.
But then I just block them, man. But then, and the thing is, that some of these people were people in the paranormal,
Yes.
and that was really what bothered me the most, was that these were paranormal people, and I ended up having to make some people aware that, being on the radio, I had my previous radio boss said, I'm going to have this person on the air. I said, he's one of the guys I had to block. And he goes, what? And
Wow.
I showed him the profile of the person. I didn't show him the picture. I said, but this is the person that sent me, like 10 pictures, wouldn't stop one day.
Oh, wow.
And he goes, oh. And so he went and he blocked the guy and told him, I can't have you on because of this. And the guy denied it. And he goes, she has pictures. She has you in her blocked file and she can prove it. So no, you're not coming on our network. And
Wow.
So at least he took my side on that. But that's horrible that there are people in the paranormal that would do that to people in paranormal. I mean, if it's somebody, just a random person out there, it's just a random sick person. But if it's somebody that's out there that's doing the paranormal stuff.
Yeah, that's not cool. I mean, going into people's homes, businesses, and then you have this little side hobby of sending out explicit photographs. It's pretty disgusting and really unprofessional. I mean, we got enough that we have to siphon through as investigators with, skepticism and, the negative flack we get from certain people. I mean, we definitely don't need additional issues with stuff like that. That's inappropriate in any walk in life, or any field. I mean, it's unfortunate that it happens. And I'm sure most teams are pretty strict. Once they hear about it, I'm sure these people are probably getting pushed out. And, and then those names start getting around. People know about them. And then hopefully they have a hard time finding their way back in anywhere, because that is absolutely ridiculous.
Right. Because you want the people that you're associated with to be reputable.
Oh,
period. Yeah. And, because like I said, when I looked at you guys, I've been on the air now 4 years.
Right.
4.5. Something like that. It's been a while. You get to the point where you forget how long it is.
Right. No,
So, and this is the first time I've had you on. So I've been watching you guys for quite a while, and you guys have a really good reputation, and it's probably because of who you hang with, not just the TV shows you've been on and all the other things that you've done. It has to do with a lot of different things that are out there. So that's really impressive that you haven't had to deal with any of that horrible stuff.
Yeah, we've been pretty good about dodging a lot of drama. I mean, and drama does make its way to our table from time to time. And the difference between us and maybe others is that we just handle those situations much differently. And you don't hear about them publicly, and they're handled privately. Or they're just not really handled at all. And we just kind of isolate ourselves away from certain people that might, be a negative, presence within our lives or taking away from our goals. Then we just keep on walking. And, it's unfortunate. You meet some really great people in this field. And every once in a while you meet someone that's maybe not so great, but that's in any field. And we've just been really a good team, both Marie and I together, and kind of watching each other's backs. And we align ourselves quite well with people. I mean, we're definitely, we've made a lot of great friends. I mean, almost like family. We just got back from Vegas yesterday night.
Yes, I saw that. You were hanging with a friend of mine who has a book that I'm actually an author in his book, Mike Ricksecker.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Oh, we had a
Mm-hmm.
lot of fun with Mike. Yeah, Mike's great. That was the first time we actually got physically were the first time we were able to meet him was yesterday. Yep. Not yesterday, but Friday, I guess, right?
Yeah, we met him. Well, we met him Saturday morning.
So. Yeah, had some really great conversations. And we were on his radio program before. Great guy, really intelligent, and we try to align ourselves with people that, really, have something to bring to the paranormal table. And and what they're doing, and we sharing ideas and stuff, and it doesn't have to be a celebrity or anybody that we're friends with. It's just anybody in any walk of life. We learn a lot from individuals and kind of what they're doing, and we try to have fun with it too, but we definitely are kind of like a drama-free zone, the best that we can be.
I mean, you can't get away from it all the way, but I mean, we do try. I mean, you do find out in any kind of field that you work that, sometimes friends are not real friends, or, there's, people that are trying to start, drama and all that. Jay and I just try to walk away from whatever it is and just move on.
And don't get me wrong, sometimes it's really hard because you develop some really solid relationships with people. And sometimes you have to walk away from because things are just kind of turning a little bit too dramatic, or it's just not what you need is extra drama, or stirring the pot and stuff. It's like it's already stirred enough in the paranormal. So it's just, we've had to walk away from some friendships that really suck to have to do so, but it's for the better, and just, keep on moving with what we're doing and continue to grow and to learn and whatnot. And always staying humble, I think, is always important. I mean, we, like you mentioned, we did a lot of television. We've been around for a while. We always try to stay grounded. Like, none of that stuff really gets to like our heads or anything like that. I mean, it's not too difficult to get yourself on television, but I mean, at the same time, it's pretty difficult to keep doing television if you're not being honest to what you're doing and, making sure you're representing yourself, properly when you're, on camera and off camera too, because it's the stuff off camera that will really get you,
I agree. I mean, when I was on Ghost Adventures, I was called Hollywood and all kinds of other stuff. And it's like, right. I'm sorry, but I've been on TV since I was 5 years old. It's not a big deal.
Right.
It's just, and then people go, you have? I'm like, yep. I said, I've even been on advertisements here in Kansas City. It's not that big a deal. And
right. It's a job. It's a job like anything else. Actually, John Zaffis, actually one of his lectures, he kind of brought that up, and he was like, you have to understand that like being on a show is like, going to a job and punching a clock, and you have many bosses that you're reporting to, and that their people are reporting back to you. And it's the same. And that's very much what it becomes is very much so a job. You might be doing what you love while you're being filmed, but at the same time, it is not just all fun and games like I think everyone thinks it is that start out that really want those TV shows. There's a lot of work that goes into it. There's a lot of PR that goes into it. There's it, and you can,
a lot of, I know, like some of the ones like Ghost Adventures or some of the other ones we did, there's not really that many rules, but like when we go into Haunted Case Files, we've done season 1 and then season 2, you get a little bit more of them telling you how to act or do certain things and everything like that. So, I mean, it is different. So I always say it is sort of like a job. So
and we've been pretty lucky with that too, because with Haunted Case Files and the both seasons that we filmed, we've had creative expression as far as like, not being like specifically told like, do this, do that. Maria really big on like honesty and integrity. So it's like every once in a while, a production, party will want you to, oh my gosh, so tell us it had to be a demon, right? Or something like that. We never go that route unless that's really what happened. And out of the hundreds of cases we've taken, we've come across maybe 2 or 3 demons out of hundreds. So that doesn't happen very often in the storytelling show unless we're telling the same story again. So.
Yeah. One of the things that you guys said, about drama,
yeah,
and that's completely true, is it's everywhere. It's not just in the paranormal. It's everywhere. It's at, your regular job. You have it at 7-Eleven. You have it at Walmart. You have it at CenturyLink. It doesn't matter. You have somebody with that knife that's twisting it no matter where you are. And so anybody that's going to say it's just paranormal drama. No, it's drama everywhere. So
you get the turf wars, you get the, paranormal teams not wanting you to be on their locations. You get, the drama of when you do make it to TV that everyone thinks that you sold out, or, oh my gosh, you and Marie, you just have so many stories. Like they can't be true. And I'm like, well, I'm not here for the skeptics. I'm here for the believers. But when you have a ghost experience and you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. So, I mean, I don't really care. Like skepticism and stuff like that type of drama where we get every time something airs, we'll get, hate mail or something like, oh, this can't possibly be true. And then when we respond to them like politely and not like a jerk, half of these people are like, oh, wow, you guys really aren't full of garbage after all, And it's like, well, I'm not here trying to convince you.
Yeah, we're not trying to convince anybody.
I'm just here to tell a story, man. That's it.
When, after break, I'm going to ask you guys some really big questions because you guys are unusual, like my husband and myself. There are not a lot of married couples that investigate together.
Right.
There are more that one or the other is interested in the paranormal.
Right.
But not both. And because, we've been doing this quite a while. And we don't come across a lot of married couples. We come across couples that got involved in the paranormal separately and then got married.
Right.
And, that's a little bit different.
Right.
We were married and then we got involved in the paranormal. And I don't know if it's the same for you guys, but my husband didn't know that I was interested in the paranormal. I didn't know he was interested in the paranormal. And then, and let's just say, we've been married 35 years. We didn't know this until about probably 15 years ago.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah. Even though I've been having paranormal experiences for 50 years.
Right. So strange? It just kind of came out one day and then you're like, oh, wow.
We would watch ghost shows. On, that were out, the show called Ghost Stories. We would watch that, find that interesting. We would watch, of course, Ghostbusters, things like that. Found that stuff interesting. Really enjoyed it. It wasn't anything other than, oh yeah, we like it, but it was never anything other than, hey, we like watching this kind of TV. It wasn't anything that said, we want to go out and help people, or because there was a stigma attached in the 70s.
Yes.
So. You guys probably weren't even born until the 70s. Or
Marie
80s.
might have been.
I was born in the 70s.
Yeah, Marie was born in the 70s.
So.
The latter part of the 70s.
Yeah, the later part of 70s.
So in the 70s, it was, shh, don't tell anybody. You can't tell anybody that you see ghosts, and it wasn't that they said spirits either. It was, you can't tell anybody you see ghosts, or you can't say anything about this, or you're going to the nut house. You're going to go crazy bin, loony bin. And and the things that they would say about you, even in your own family back then, was horrible. So we lived in a haunted house, me and my husband. And I didn't tell him that other than, I told him, hey, there's this boy in our house. I say he just comes in our room and he says, Mom. And I was pregnant. I didn't think anything of it. In fact, at first I thought it was just my neighbor was drunk, walked in our house, realized he was in the wrong house and left. Because they had a house key to our house, backup key.
Right.
Thought maybe he just had it, or things like that. Weird. Not really weird. Sometimes they didn't lock the door. Hard to believe. I live in Kansas City, Missouri, and didn't lock the door.
Right.
After living in Baltimore, you'd think I would. But, I didn't think anything of it. Okay. But my husband was gone all the time on his job. And so I said, but it's a 16-year-old boy. He says, Mom. And I answer him. He goes away. Not a big deal. And he's like, yeah. Okay. So I see how he responds, and I don't say anything after that. So that's it. So we just keep it at that for a little bit. So we're going to talk more about this after the break. So everyone, you're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. We are going to be back with Jay and Maria Yates, and we are going to find out how they got involved in the paranormal when we get back.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk only on Paranormal Experience Radio. Broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Oh, come on. I'm Southern, but... nope. That'll do. Hello. I am Kat Hobson, host of Paranormal Experience here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. I enjoy having guests from all areas of the paranormal, from ghosts to ufology to cryptids and beyond. You'll find some of the best researchers in their fields bringing you some great information. Join me on Wednesday nights from 8 to 10 p. Eastern here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
To the believer, the evidence is overwhelming. To the skeptic, there will never be enough. Hello everyone. Join Kevin and Jennifer Malik, the host of Paraversal Universe, every Friday here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting. Also heard on WCET FM and The Rift. Log on or tune in as they check out the mysteries found within the 8 categories of the unknown and unexplained, including ghosts and haunted places, aliens and UFOs, theology and mythology, cryptids and monsters, urban legends and folklore, conspiracies, metaphysics, and forbidden archaeology. Listen as Kevin and Jennifer interview the top minds in their respective fields as they share theories and information regarding these unsolved mysteries. For future show and archive information, one can find Paraversal Universe on Facebook, Twitter, and MeWe under various Paraversal Universe headings. So, for excellent talk radio about the unknown and unexplained, check out Paraversal Universe, where all paranormal perspectives apply. Brought to you by the Northern Wisconsin Paranormal Society, Ltd., and produced by WBHM-DB.com.
Thank you for listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 23 minutes after the hour.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Paranormal Pride. I want to say hello to everybody in the chat room tonight, and I hope everybody is ready for some more talk with Jay and Maria Yates. And I want to tell everyone that Jeff Taflin says to say hi to everyone. He calls himself the GOAT, and he's out of Ohio. So there you go. So Jay and Maria, how did you guys get involved in the paranormal?
Yeah, that's a loaded question.
I know.
I grew up haunted is the only way I could really describe it. I grew up as a child, experiencing phenomenon that I couldn't explain. I would see spirit as they would appear at their moments of death, is what I figured out later on in life. So if they passed by drowning, you would see them in that state, or a fire or a car accident. So some of the images that I saw as a very young man were quite disturbing, and it scared me. And at first I thought it was neighborhood kids or people playing pranks on me. Soon I realized I was either going crazy or something else was happening. And I reluctantly reached out to both my family and, explained to them what was going on. They didn't really discredit me because they had also, I found out later on in life, had experiences themselves as children and in their adult life. But I was still psychologically evaluated quite a bit. So this kind of continued throughout my adolescence all the way up to my teenage years. And then in the late 1999, August 13th of 99, I had a near-death experience, which was relatively dark. And I managed to be able to come back to my physical body. And at that time, I made a promise to God that if you give me the people, I will speak to them and tell them that this place exists. Little did I know that that wasn't in reverendship, because I was ordained for a while. I got kicked out of the church, was lost for a very long time, and didn't know where to go with that. And shortly thereafter, I met Marie, complete and total skeptic of everything, paranormal, really, but for some reason still listened to me. And we experienced our own haunting together, to make a very, very long story short. And we decided to go out and help other people that were affected like us by the paranormal. But even today, we're still haunted. Like, I'm still haunted. It's not our house. It's not the objects that we bring into our home, because we're collectors ourselves of oddities and objects. It's more so us that is
You're
charged.
the collector. I'm not the collector.
I'm the collector. Marie's not so much. She's not too happy about some of the items that may or may not be in our house right now. But long story short, I mean, we've used our trials and tribulations with the supernatural to become a testimony to our clients. And not only do we say, hey, we were haunted, we still are haunted today. And even with all the experiences we have, I still have nights where I wake up in tears, screaming and crying, and night terrors at some of the stuff that I see. A lot of the stuff that follows me around is very dark. It's very malignant. Marie describes it as very demonic. And it's been that way for a while. And I've kind of learned how to live in between that world and this, I guess. And it's been a heck of a run. But it's definitely it's been a great blessing to a lot of people. And that's where I really feel blessed to be able to, through the stuff that we've been through, that it's been able to help so many people. I mean, it just feels good. It feels like the right thing. So we always say paranormal isn't a part of our life or a way of our life. I mean, it generally is our life. And sometimes that can be problematic, because there is no disconnect from the paranormal. It's constantly paranormal everything, and it becomes difficult sometimes. And even when we push it back away from it, we still have the issues within our own life at home. But at the end of the day, it's we've met some wonderful people and been able to help out a lot of people in the process. You want to add to that, Marie? Because I pretty much took it.
The question, I mean, the only question I could say is I actually got into the paranormal because I married into it. To be honest with you, before I met Jay, the only ghost I ever even saw or even knew about was like Casper the Friendly Ghost or the Ghostbusters on TV. I mean, I didn't really know anything of that kind of stuff. So I always say how I became into the paranormal is I married into it.
So I screwed up your whole life.
Yeah, I always say I was in the light, and he brought me into the dark, the darkness.
Well, you're his light in the dark.
Hey, you know what? No one's ever said that.
That's kind of true.
That's actually good. I like
She's like my paranormal light counselor.
Yeah.
Because without her, I would probably lose it sometimes.
Don't worry. I mean, he's my counselor too. I mean, in the last, I don't know, several 5-6 years, I started having abilities, and I always tell people I wasn't born with this. I really did not believe in this stuff until a couple of years, even being with Jay. I mean, I think anybody that starts being around the paranormal and it's your life, I think everybody has abilities. It's just you have to awaken them. And I think mine got awoken, and I'm around it so much, I started having abilities. In the last 5-6 years, I mean, I've been dealing with those abilities and learning how to deal with them. Like Jay had his whole life to sort of go through it and figure out things, not me. So he's been my counselor of learning how to do everything too.
So Marie, do you have mediumship abilities?
She hears, I see, is pretty much how it works out. I mean, and she's here lately. She's kind of been able to do a little bit of both.
I don't really see much. I will honestly say, I sort of will say there's a lot of new things that's been happening to me in the last almost a year. I sort of will say I'm sort of learning into the empath. I can hear people. I will not read anyone myself. I don't get me wrong. It's happened when we're on cases and some, like one of the clients or somebody will, in a way, I'll keep going and going, and I don't realize I'm reading them, and then they're pushing more and more. But I'm not at that level, and I don't want to do that. I don't know if I'll ever be that way.
We never even promote ourselves as such either. And the reason why we don't promote ourselves as psychic, sensitive, mediums, empaths is because I don't feel comfortable enough or secure enough with the title for me to professionally step forward with it. And it's not to say that like we probably couldn't. And I'm saying most people would have already grabbed it and said, oh, yeah, this is what we do. I don't trust myself. And Marie doesn't trust herself.
No.
And I don't want to ever give any information to a client that's going to make them feel uncomfortable because of something that I feel. Because sometimes what I might be feeling myself or seeing could be something that was an attachment of my own. And it has nothing to do with the family whatsoever.
And that's what
So for us, it's for sake of us being professional in the field. We really have decided not to so much exploit that, I guess you could say, out there in the field. Now, we do use it, like when we're in historical locations, in some homes, some residents that we're dealing with, if it's like someone that we know or it's a safer environment to do that, that's conducive of us actually going forward in that direction, we will definitely use that. But we're always looking for tangible physical evidence, something that you can see or hear, right? So, we're always looking for that to back up any kind of feelings or thoughts.
Do you find that it's harder to do that with people you know than with people you don't?
I always say this. I have a harder time using my abilities with our own crew members. And they know me better than anybody, but it's harder to use my abilities just because I don't go out there as much with my abilities and stuff like that. So I don't know. But I will say when we're out with just, say, people we're not around all the time or even a stranger or something, I'm able to use it a little bit better. I will say that is something that's true.
I find that too. And I think it's because I know too much about the people that I hang with.
Yeah.
And I find that I can't, it's, I don't know. I think maybe I use what I know about them
right
too well.
Right.
To trust what I might be thinking, or what I'm being told.
And that's responsible, there's nothing wrong with it, I think. Because we're tend to doing it ourselves. But Marie and I, we don't just work with like our team. Like we work like by ourselves sometimes. We work with other teams. It's definitely, it does when you're closer to people. I think you kind of do.
Yeah.
For me, it's always difficult because I can't tell, like when I'm seeing something, like I think everyone in the room can see something, like, and that's where I'm still at with my gift or my curse, whatever you want to call it, is that I frequently have visitations and sightings of things, and I think that everybody else can see them. So when I'm with people, and it's going to kind of be like a little bit embarrassing that I'm having this experience if I'm not saying, hey, I'm sorry, I have to explain myself, back it up. By the way, I see dead people. You know what I mean? So it's different. So, and sometimes we do have shared experiences, but
our team has always known Jay's had abilities since he was a child. So it's a lot different with him with the team. They sort of come to him and do stuff.
Yeah.
Our team, I didn't have abilities at the beginning.
Right.
I started to. I just was hush-hush about it.
I think everyone's born with it. I think you always did have it. Marie says she was never exposed to the paranormal. But a couple months ago, we were sitting back talking about her childhood. And I remember all the stories she had told me as her growing up. And when she would get frustrated, she would go to the haunted bridge. When she was playing with her friends,
it wasn't a haunted bridge to me.
But it wasn't. But I think you were tuning into it. When you were playing with your friends, you were in an allegedly haunted house. You'd go to a haunted park inside of a haunted cornfield.
Well, see, I didn't find any of this stuff was haunted until now.
And then when you moved to Arizona, you moved into one of the most haunted apartments I've ever walked into in my entire life. So, it's odd how it
is true. Every location that I used to actually go and draw to, I find paranormal because I'm from Indiana, Midwest area. And it's funny how a lot of the locations that I see people investigating and having tours or doing all that stuff are locations that I went to. Like, if you're I don't know if you're from that area, like there's an Oxbow Park. And it's sort of like, I don't know what they want to call it, Elkhart, Indiana, by Goshen, Indiana. I don't know. It's in between them. And it's, I guess, haunted. I used to play in that park every day almost. So, I mean, that was just one location. There's other ones I found out.
I just realized that was not a series of coincidence, I don't think, is that maybe you were always kind of drawn to it. And maybe why you were drawn to me, I don't know. I mean, I never really thought of it. It's something that we just recently started discussing. And we've been together since now. I mean, we've been together for 18 years almost, right?
No, yeah.
So
18.
Almost 19.
Yeah.
you know what? She may not be drawn to you, Jay. She may be drawn to something that's attached to you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
I am not drawn to that thing. It likes to keep me up at night.
I'm just giving you trouble. I'm trying to start an argument. No. So, Jay, when you see spirits,
Right.
do they look like somebody? Do they look like me and you?
It depends. It depends on the situation. I have a lot of things that visit me and they lie in the shadows only, and they won't come into the light. So, like, I will see them. I will see the masses, the outline, the shape, but I won't see like full features. Now, I have seen countless full-bodied, people just standing there. And usually what happens for me, it's very quick. I have to be very concentrated to be able to really grasp what I just saw. And I learned at a young age to kind of block it off, so much so that I kind of, when I started getting into investigating and as ghost hunting, I started in 1999-ish when I started to really go out and explore. I really started like blocking it out a lot. So I really wanted to, as I got into it more, I wanted to kind of like grasp it and see like what am I seeing, what's happening, and really locking into locations. But when I'm locked in and I'm walking through a location, I can see them in flashes. It's very quick. I mean, sometimes like a second where I'll see them full body. And that happens in my own house more than anywhere probably, but
True.
Because I know that sometimes when I see spirits, they look as solid as me and you.
Yes.
And other times they're wispy, and other times they are like something that you don't want to see at all. Right. Something horrid. And other times they are like shadow people, short and squat, or tall and skinny, or tall and fat. I mean, it just depends. I mean, they're all different shapes. But one of the questions we have is from Tom McNicholas, and I'm pretty sure this probably comes from your weekend in Vegas. But this time it can't stay in Vegas though. It's about your opinion on shadow people, because I know Mike Ricksecker has a very good presentation that he does on shadow people, and his opinion and my opinion on shadow people kind of mirror each other. So what is your opinion?
My opinion on shadow people specifically are that they are not human. They never were human. That they're almost more of a watchman than they are anything. I call them interdimensional beings, to where they're not like a spirit. They're not a ghost. They're just kind of there. They're not there to communicate with you. They're there to simply observe and the experiences that I've had personally. There's only been one time where a shadow person had even slightly communicated with me, and it terrified me so much. I had to wake up my wife. It was directing me to jump out of the second floor window of my condo we lived in. And definitely that had never happened. I had never had anything reach out and communicate that was like a shadow figure. When I see them, they're hooded. Sometimes they're just like they're like these creepy crawlers. I describe them as oil or ink sometimes in their appearance. And then of course you have the top hats and stuff like that you see of some of these people, but most generally what I see is the hooded, almost grim reaper-ish physicalities. But to what my experiences are is that they're non-communicative most generally, and they're just there watching. And to me, that's more terrifying than anything. I actually grew up and had a shadow figure. It was about 9 foot tall, probably about 4.5 foot wide by shoulder length. And it would stand in the corner of my room and it would not move. And it would be there. It just was there. It was just no going away. it wouldn't be fazed by anything. If I got up, it was still there. If I ran away and came back, it was still there. If I closed my eyes and opened, it was still there. If I turned on my lights, it would stay there visible for a moment and then kind of slowly just die down. So that particular shadow person is what I call it, has followed me ever since I was a young child. In some of the worst times in my life, it will appear, and it will simply stand at the edge of my bed staring at me, and I will wake up to it, and it is terrifying.
But it won't touch you.
It will not touch me.
Will it reach out?
It reached out one time to instruct me to jump out of a second floor window.
So, Gary from CC Paranormal Team in Caldwell County, Missouri, he's a minister, and he says that what you're seeing are demons.
I wouldn't doubt that. I hate using the D word because everyone uses it for them. Now, right. I mean, I've experienced demons, and I've experienced true demons in their forms, and I see them as differently than a shadow people, and that's just based upon my own experience. I could be different.
Maybe in this case, this is a devil's minion.
Possibly.
Doing his work, trying,
I will honestly say, I mean, in the last year, just being married with Jay, I mean, for so long, and then we're in the paranormal and everything like that. I mean, I sort of sit back, and I am just a watcher as well, but I'm with Jay so much. I mean, we don't just live together. We're parents, and then we work together. So, I mean, we're together, and plus we have our own business, all that kind of stuff. So it's like I see him so much, and the interaction of the shadow thing that he has, I've seen it myself. I mean, I will say the one that follows him around, I believe it is. I think he's had some kind of demon attached to him since he was a child. Somewhere, something. I don't think he even knows in a way.
She actually described the thing that followed me around as half man, half goat.
Yeah, I mean, it really
Recently,
is.
she's actually told me this.
Yeah, and I mean, with my abilities, I'm thinking I'm starting to see not just hear it a lot more. But I will say that not all shadow things are demons. I mean, I've seen other things where actually, I mean, I've heard stories, and I'm not going to say they're with me, but I've heard stories from other friends and stuff that some of these shadow people have been good. They've actually showed them good things. So, I mean, I would say...
Which also doesn't mean that it can't be demonic.
Yeah, it could be demonic. It's true.
It's just the D word is just thrown around so much.
Yeah,
and it's like
it's overused.
Yeah, and I try to be so careful, like, with it. And I'm a faith-believing guy, obviously. Maybe my interpretation is different than some people, but it's definitely, and that's because of my exposure to the other side. But it's hard to say. The thing
is on his back constantly. I mean, and I just think, and it's teared him down quite a few times. I mean, I don't think it.
I think some of the hardest times she's seen me go through with that attachment, that specific one, is I did a show called Paranormal Witness. It's still out there. It got relatively good ratings. The show's called the episode's called The Jail, and it dives in deep about how something latched on to me pretty hard, and I had my own attachments plus other ones that were trying to attach themselves to me, and it put me in a very dark place.
Okay, you know what? We're gonna have to catch up with this after the break. So everyone, make sure you come back to hear the rest of this. You're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. And we will be back in just a few minutes.
You're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experience Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Oh, come on. I'm Southern, but... Nope. That'll do. Hello. I am Kat Hobson, host of Paranormal Experience here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. I enjoy having guests from all areas of the paranormal, from ghosts to ufology to cryptids and beyond. You'll find some of the best researchers in their fields bringing you some great information. Join me on Wednesday nights from 8 to 10 p. Eastern here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
Since 1948, Fate magazine has brought you reports of the strange and unknown, all of them true. Fate Radio is carrying on that tradition, bringing you the unusual, macabre, strange, and bizarre. Join host Kat Hobson Sunday nights from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
You're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experienced Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
So, we were when we broke for the break, we were talking about the things that you guys see and feel, and one of the things that the thing that follows you is half man and half goat at times, I guess. Is it all the time like that, or just some of the time it displays itself like that?
Her interpretation is that. I've never seen it that way myself. I've seen it much differently. She's seen it as that.
I have seen it like that. Not all the time is it like that. I don't always see it. I hear it a lot around Jay now, with my abilities coming up. It's been very few times I have seen it. But when I hear it, I do see Jay. See, what I see now is when I'm starting to hear it and it starts getting very loud, Jay's mood changes. And I don't even tell him I'm hearing anything. And all of a sudden you just start seeing Jay's mood changes and everything just moves around. And Jay usually is a very calm person in a way. But when he starts getting antsy and all this stuff, a lot of times it's when the thing is actually messing around with him. So, I
mean, which explains a lot, because he definitely, I do have those, like, where I feel like I'm constantly being bombarded by something. And the worst part is when I'm trying to sleep and I'm trying to relax. There was probably about 3 months ago where I don't think I really slept a full night. And you didn't either because of me and other reasons. But I mean, like, probably for 2 months in the summertime, because it was almost every single night. Like, I would go to sleep, and I was getting threatened by this thing. It was like, just, it just talks in my ear while I'm starting to sleep, and I would wake up like screaming. And
if it didn't bother him then that night, it would actually terrorize me by ripping off my blanket. Or
that happens a lot.
Yeah,
actually.
I mean, like, it constant, because I have to have my own blanket.
It's like annoying things. It's like annoying things that would cause, you wouldn't think that would be a big deal, but after them doing that for 2 months straight, it causes a huge break. And I feel sometimes it tries to break me down. And especially if I'm taking a case that might be a little bit more malignant, and maybe Marie's going to be able to make a breakthrough for that particular family or that client, things will latch on to us even harder. So we have to be very careful and strategic on how we plan investigations around our life with all the other stuff we have going on, because usually these spirits, especially the darker side of things, and I don't mean demonic, but like more malignant and more hateful spirits, if it's intelligent, we seem to kind of have visitations before we even go to the location.
I do too.
Harder. Okay, so we're not crazy.
No, I have visits from spirits before. I mean, it used to be every time. Okay, we used to do tours at the Sally House all the time, and before we would go 2 to 3 days before, the spirits would come and visit me beforehand, or if somebody was there and they were provoking or whatever, one of the spirits would come here and tattle and tell me what was going on. So I always knew, and I lived 90 minutes from there. Okay, so these spirits were making a beeline to my house to tell me what was going on, and so I always knew. And it was just funny. But I do have a question for you. I mean, it's a theory.
Sure.
Is it possible, since you've been haunted, that it's generational, that this, whatever is with you, has been with somebody in your family for a very long time?
That's what I've been saying. To be honest with you, I mean, this is a personal thing for him, so I'm going to let him answer it. But I actually have thought of that myself, because I will honestly tell you, the thing that that's attached to him since birth, well, I don't even know if it's from birth, I don't know when, but when we go out to other cases or anywhere, it seems like it gets stronger. So it ain't like another thing is attaching to him. I don't think. I think whatever's around there, it's like he sucks their energy and he gets stronger. So that's what I believe. So I'll let you tell him about it.
Yeah, I definitely do believe it's generational. I believe that it's something that's been passed down. I had my mother tell me stories of her visitations when she was younger. I had my grandmother tell me stories. My grandfather, he was half Cherokee, and he had some very unique experiences as well. My uncles have all had and shared in demonic attachments, and they've seen things and experienced things, and it all, like, in the line, when you look at it all, it's almost the same type of phenomenon. My mother was tortured when she was in a very bad marriage with my biological father, which I've never talked about this on anywhere, actually. So just an exclusive for you guys. She was visited by a half, I believe she describes it as a half man, half horse, and maybe partial lion or something. I can't remember exactly what she said. And it would appear at the foot of her bed, and it would throw daggers at her in the middle of the night. And they would throw them at her, but it would land into my father's body. Now, it wasn't really physically happening, but I mean, like, she was, whether she was hallucinating or whatnot, to her, it was very much so real. And since then, I've kind of like had similar type encounters throughout my life. I used to be visited by an angelic being, is the only way I could describe it. I used to think it was my mother waking up in the night, coming into my room, and I found out later on in life that this maybe it's my angel, very much so looks similar to my mother as far as like hair type, height, size, but wearing like a light blue gown, and it would just sit there and talk to me like at nighttime and calm me down. And that's the one that would actually protect me for some of this darker stuff that would come through. And I always thought that it was my mom. This is weird. I've never talked about this before. I don't even know if I ever told you about that.
Yeah, you told me about
did I? Okay.
One of the questions that we had is from Carl. He asked, and I think you've already answered it, but I want to validate that. Do you see evil?
I see, hear, and feel evil. And I mean that like as far as like I can if we're in like a crowded place, let's say we're in a mall, immediately if someone is harboring a dark attachment, I can zoom in on that energy in seconds. It's not very difficult for me. It actually happened very recently. I can't go into details because of legalities, but we were at a particular large packing store, and we were approaching the entrance of the building, and this person was coming across the parking lot, and immediately I said, I feel like I need to apprehend this guy immediately. Like, I'm going to take this guy down. Later on, we caught a notion that he was threatening to murder people on the way out of the door of this big box store. And we had to call authorities and everything else. So like, and before we knew that he was saying that and hearing him saying that, I was already feeling that. And so was Marie. And I worked in the jails for 10 years, and I've had many of experiences to where I've been in situations to where you could definitely single out that one individual that is harboring something very dark or has very evil intentions. But yeah, I think I'm like a basset hound for that kind of thing.
I will honestly say that's why I say, I mean, I guess the empath part of me, I will feel a lot of times, and I've been noticing it a lot more within the last year, and I really haven't talked to a lot of people about it. Like Jay knows more about it. I mean,
you're definitely empathic because you feel everyone.
I mean, like
energy.
I'll feel like if somebody is like so, like Jay,
I'm the worst.
I mean, he makes me want to go crazy. But I mean, I feel like I do when somebody's walking by. I'm just like, oh, that person's like not a good person, and I'll like just say to Jay, and I don't say it out loud or anything to anybody else, but like, and then you could just feel like somebody like. It's such a good person, you know, that's around you. Yeah. It's almost like sunshine is at you. But then some people that come around you it's like darkness. That's all I can explain. And it's not
a lot of
good.
times for me, like in the individual, it's like, it's direct eye contact for me. Like, what it refers to me for is it refers back to my like near-death experience to where I was being confronted in the place where I was at by something very dark and evil. And there is a darkness in this world that Crayola cannot describe. They can't create. There's a darkness that has both life and death and eternity and infinity all in one. There's a darkness that is all consuming of everything positive, love, and light. And sometimes when I see people, individuals, and sometimes these might be clients that I deal with, to where there was a brief moment where I can look into their eyes and see that darkness. And for me, that's a huge indication immediately of what's happening. And I'm sure, that's not something that, I've talked to other people who kind of have that similar thing going for them too. But that's kind of how I deal with that, at least.
That, I've run across that in my life. And back to the generational thing, I know that I have that in my family in a couple different ways on my father's side. And people who know me know the story, and so I'm not going to go into that because this show's about you. So I understand how that works, and
Right.
You were probably born with it and didn't even realize it because, you're too young to know until something happens.
Right.
So, and Marie, she probably, was born with these abilities and had no clue until they were activated,
Right.
So there was
Perfect
something
storm.
in there. Yeah. Something in there was meant to be for you guys to be together.
No, I believe that wholeheartedly. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't do this without Marie. And honestly, I owe it all to Marie. Without her, I would have never had the strength or encouragement to go out and do what it is that I do. And believe it or not, like everyone always, oh, Jay, you're such a great public speaker and you can speak so well. And people just love hearing what you have to say. But people don't see the opposite side into that, man. Before I go out these lectures and these speaking things, I'm panicking, I'm freaking out. And for me, it's much bigger because I have a bigger calling when I'm doing these things. And I'm not trying to shove like religion or faith down anybody's throat. But to give an example, we were at Phoenix Comic-Con about 5 years ago. And that's a convention that can get anywhere from 60 to 100,000 people each year. And they gave us a room one year early on that was much larger than we normally would get, which held 500 seats approximately. And we were like, oh my gosh. And we had just done a recent, like, controversial episode, you could say, with Ghost Adventures. And people had a lot of questions. And 100 people showed up.
Was this the one where you guys were sitting at the picnic table?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So this was many years ago, but and there's a funny story behind that one too. I can tell you off here. But aside from that, I was seeing these people come through, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this room's not going to fill up. This is kind of embarrassing. Why they give us such a big room? Well, the long story short, the room completely filled up, and we had 500 seats plus 100 or more people out the door wanting to get in. And I'm sitting at this like pulpit style podium, and Marie's sitting down. I look at her and say, I can't talk. I can't do it. It's just too overwhelming. Like, what are we doing? What are we getting ourselves into? How did this happen? And she said, those are your people. You promised God you'd speak to them. Go out there and speak to your people. So this is like 1 minute before go time. So I turn around and look at everybody, and I just start crying, like uncontrollably in front of people. And I had to back it up, like, with why that. And I had to explain this whole story. But what turned out to be probably one of the most powerful messages I've ever given in a panel before. And we had so many people come up to talk to us afterwards. But I really put out our heart and our soul out there. What Marie and I do so very often with a lot of the shows that we appear on. And it was just such a blessing to other people. So we're like, oh, my God, if I can do that, then we can do it again. But then each time we have them, it's ultimately just terrifying for me. But I just kind of let, it flow.
Well, that just shows that you're humble.
I try. I'm just terrified in front of people.
He has a lot to say. I will honestly.
I'm sure she can tell that by this friggin' interview.
I mean, he does it all. I mean, I'm so used to everybody's like, how do you just get your word in? Why? I mean, I've learned just to cut in, and it's something normal. I mean, to be honest with you, if you guys are around us in real life and our personal time, I'm the one that talks all the time.
Yeah.
And he's the quiet. So it's so awkward when he does it. So that's the reason I let him talk, because he has so much to say. And it's like, I just let him talk.
Well, in our house, I talk a lot. My husband's pointing at me right now. I talk a lot. But again, I also work from home, so I have nobody to talk to most of the time. so if that's bad, think about it. I talk to 5 cats all day. So, but
I know how that is. I was working from home too. So yeah.
You know what? We are coming up on our top of the hour break. So everyone, this is a good time for you guys to go and take a short break and get yourself something to drink, a little snack, and come on back. So you're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. We will be back with Jay and Marie Yates in just a few minutes. So we'll be waiting for you when you come back.
Passing the impeachment baton. Lisa Brady, Fox News. House Intelligence Committee Chairman Adam Schiff confirming in a letter today that a report will be sent to the Judiciary Committee, which could hold its own hearings or just start drafting articles of impeachment.
The timeline for when the House will actually vote on any articles is really up in the air. But if the Judiciary Committee marks up the articles by mid-December, they could vote on them close to Christmas and send it over to the Senate for a trial in 2020 at the start of a new year. But there is something that could be a roadblock to this road to an impeachment vote.
Fox Business Network's Hillary Vaughn referring to the Inspector General's report due out soon on the origins of the Russia probe and surveillance of the Trump campaign. President Trump defending his personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani, today.
Rudy's a great person, and I think that maybe the press isn't treating Rudy very well, and I think that's unfair.
During a meeting with the visiting Prime Minister of Bulgaria, the president also urging the House Speaker again to get moving on the trade agreement with Canada and Mexico. Conan, the hero dog, visiting the White House today, along with other members of Delta Force, honored for the raid in Syria that killed the ISIS leader.
They did a fantastic job. Conan did a fantastic job. And we're very honored to have Conan here and to have given Conan a certificate and an award.
The ceremony inside was private, only Conan making a public appearance for security reasons, but there was some confusion.
Initially, we were told that Conan was a male. Then White House officials told the pool that Conan was a female. Well, now we are told that Conan is, in fact, a boy.
Fox's John Roberts at the White House. New records on Wall Street for the Dow, the S&P, and the NASDAQ. The Dow closing at 28,066. America is listening to Fox News.
If you don't know your numbers, you don't know your business. That's the problem growing businesses have because of a hodgepodge of business systems. One for accounting, another for sales, another for inventory. If that's you, you know it's a mess that takes up too much time and too many resources. And that hurts the bottom line. You need NetSuite by Oracle, the cloud-based business management software that gives you the visibility and control you need to grow. With NetSuite, you save time, money, and unneeded headaches by managing sales, finance and accounting, orders, and HR instantly from your desktop or phone. That's why NetSuite is the world's #1 cloud business system. Companies that use NetSuite grow 3 times faster than the S&P 500. And right now, NetSuite is offering you valuable insights with a free guide, 7 key strategies to grow your profits at netsuite.com/Fox. That's netsuite.com/Fox to download your free guide, 7 key strategies to grow your profits. netsuite.com/Fox.
Prosecutors in Alabama just announcing they think they have found the remains of a UFC fighter's missing stepdaughter, last seen a month ago. 2 men are already under arrest in the case. One accused of forcing her into a car. A body's been found on a county road in Macon County. A trial date set for 2 prison guards charged in connection with Jeffrey Epstein's death.
2 guards from the Manhattan Federal Detention Facility where Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide while locked up will head to trial on charges for lying on official records about how they spent their time on shift the night Epstein died. Michael Figgins is the lawyer for Michael Thomas.
The decisions that led to the death of Mr. Epstein were not only because of what my client did or did not do. It was because of a system that failed completely.
Both Thomas and co-worker Tova Noel are pleading not guilty. They'll stand trial next April. Eben Brown, Fox News.
A key World Anti-Doping Agency panel is recommending that Russian athletes be forced to compete as neutrals at next year's Olympics in Tokyo and other major events. The committee also recommending a 4-year ban on hosting major events in Russia. The full panel will vote on the recommendations in December. A game show contestant ends up on a wheel of changing fortune after recent controversy.
Wheel of Fortune contestant Kristen Shaw making the mistake of saying the word "and" while solving a crossword puzzle on the show, losing over $1,900 and an $8,000 trip to Nashville. The error sparking outrage online, viewers bashing the rules, saying she was robbed. Tennessee tourism company AdventureWorks making things right, gifting Shaw an all-expenses-paid trip to Nashville and tickets to the Grand Ole Opry. A rep saying in a news release, "We give second chances," telling Shaw, "We are not going to make you solve a puzzle to claim it."
Fox's Kristen Goodwin. Shaw says she's blown away and plans to take her mom to Music City. This is Fox.
This news report is brought to you by NetSuite by Oracle, the cloud-based business management software that gives you the visibility and control you need to grow. NetSuite is offering their free guide, 7 Key Strategies to Grow Your Profits, at netsuite.com/Fox.
Welcome back to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 5 minutes after the hour.
Welcome back to the Paranormal Pride. I'm your host, Denise Pridemore, and my guests tonight are Jay and Marie Yates of television fame. Is where we're going to go with that, because they've been on all kinds of paranormal television. And we're going to start out this segment with a question from Sherry. She asks, are you guys surprised at all by the strange creatures that Amy Allen sees on her shows? Because she says that she is shocked by some of the things that she sees, and it's insane to think that there's things like that out there.
Amy Allen, I don't watch the show that often, but I have. It's definitely on. See that every once in a while you're flipping through the channels. I've seen it. I've heard what she's had to say about some of those things. I mean, when she talks about certain stuff, it kind of brings back memories of things that I have seen in my life. So is it shocking that those things are out there? Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, I'm still surprised that, like, just the experiences I have. So it doesn't surprise me that there is so much of that out there. But I kind of believe in, like, interdimensionalism. So I believe that there's angels, demons, and dead people passing us all the time. We just either unfortunate enough or lucky enough to see them. So... but they're everywhere.
I will say we've had a lot of different things of our experiences where it's like creatures and stuff. My very first paranormal, I guess, and paranormal experience, I had something, come to me. So I will say they're out there. So I to be honest with you, ever since we're on TV ourselves, I will honestly say, it's very hard for me to watch TV, just because
paranormal TV.
Yeah, and not even just paranormal TV.
Any reality,
anything reality. We live it in a way, so it's like I know all about it. So I know all the ins and outs. So I really don't watch it. I mean, I've watched a couple here and there. I think Amy is an amazing person, but I couldn't say which ones they're talking about, but I will say that there are things out there. And so what she probably is saying is a lot of people, what's going on?
Yeah. She sees stuff that I have described one in the book that Mike Ricksecker has, that I wrote an article or wrote a story for, and she sees stuff like that and worse. And so basically, some of the things that you guys have described are very similar to the things that she's described, but she goes into some really extreme detail. So another question from Sherry. She says, do your kids or immediate family have any interactions with spirits because of what you do?
Well, if anyone follows all of the stuff that we've done on TV going way back, we run Ghost Adventure Aftershocks because of kind of like an attachment we had that my son Steve.
But I don't think that's because of us. I mean,
no.
I have an autistic son from a previous marriage, and I will honestly say, he's an adult now. He's not a child anymore. He's 23 now, but he when he was younger, before I met Jay, he's always talked to things and was looking at things, pointing at things, and stuff like that. I always assumed it was because he was autistic and mental illness. So I was like, oh, it's just that. When Jay came into our lives, whatever he was seeing, Jay was seeing, and what they, all that. So I realized what it was saying. So I will say Steven sort of had it. I just never put to face.
Steven's very gifted and really acknowledging spirit, and that could be a whole other show in itself. Marie and I do a lot of work with mental health and behavioral health and autism and dementia and that parallel with the paranormal, because we've dealt with that a lot in our professional lives. And personal. So there's a huge connection between mental illness and ghost sightings and mental health as we get older. I mean, it's veil thinning on both ends, and it's definitely something that we've been dealing with for a long time. But if Sherry, if you're interested in that kind of stuff, a really good show that we did recently was called Scariest Night of Our Life, or Scariest Night of My Life. It was an episode I did, and it has something to do with Stephen and some of the stuff he was seeing. And it was really well done, actually.
I mean, like our other family, I will say Jay's family's always sort of been around it with Jay. My family is the only one that's not. I will say my mom, very Bible.
Oh yeah, we got yelled at. I got yelled at today by your mom, actually, for some stuff that went down in Vegas.
She's so proud of us. Is one of our biggest supporters. But she just tries to stay away from it. My sister, I will say, I think she sees a little bit more things like she's never seen before and sees stuff. And then we have our younger son.
Our 18-year-old is actually he's our 18-year-old, the youngest boy, he's our youngest son, and he probably started when he was about 15 on one of our public events. I caught him in the basement. He was supposed to be just helping me just get equipment, and he was doing an EVP session in the basement of the old Sunkiss factory, just like Dad had done. And I was like, oh my gosh, if Mom finds out you're investigating, she's going to kill me. And ever since then, he started slowly pushing his way into investigating. And now he comes out with me awful lot now to investigate.
He's more into the UFO, I will honestly say. So
more into
I could see him when he gets on his own. I could see him doing the UFO a little bit more.
Stuff, yeah.
Because he's really into that. So
he's like, ghost. I lived with that my whole life. Like, I want to find UFOs now.
Well, that makes sense that there should be something. And so thank you for answering their questions. Here's another question from Carl. He's with Caldwell County Paranormal Team as well in Caldwell County, Missouri. Mm-hmm. He asks, do you guys use any equipment when you investigate, or do you just use your abilities?
A lot of the time, we don't even really use anything anymore, to be honest with you. There's a lot of great gadgets that we bring out to our public events and stuff because people want to see stuff as they see on television. What I find myself doing a lot now is we've been doing a lot of ITC stuff. I've been doing a lot. I've been really interested in that because it's very portable and it's very easy for me to just throw out an application and gauge conversation quickly in locations, especially that are noisy or they're hard to get isolated away from sounds and stuff. But mostly, I mean, we're really focused on getting video evidence or photos or audio. I mean, that's really the three pieces
to answer his question. I will say when we're on a real investigation and doing it to get proof of, like, if somebody called us out to see if their place is haunted.
We got all the balls and whistles.
I mean, we bring all the balls and whistles. So we will honestly use scientific approaches first before our abilities. Always. Yeah. Well, the equipment, whatever you want to call it, whatever. But the equipment first, rather than our abilities. We will never go to a place that's called us out and use our abilities on anything unless we can actually have equipment that's backing it up in a way. We do use it in reference for Jay and ourselves. But now when we're out having fun and just doing research and doing whatever, yeah, I think we use more of our abilities. I know I do. Yeah. I love going all by myself in a dark room with nobody. I'll have like a recorder, but I don't need camera. I don't need video. I just need a recorder and myself. And that's good for me.
I think it's the biggest problem with like investigators that are starting out now in the field is that they are going out and spending all this crazy money on stuff, which if you have the money to do it, yeah, go out. It's fun. It's cool. It sounds really neat. But at the end of the day, how many devices can you have that detect energy and how many can you have that detect movement? You know what I mean? So it all kind of falls back into those same genres. But, a flash.
Don't get him wrong. He likes getting all those new toys.
Oh, I love it. It's like Christmas time. But then at the end of the day, I look at him and I'm like, these all do the same thing, and I don't know why we have all of them, but it's cool. They look really nice. But there's nothing one piece of equipment that we favor over the other. Really just basics for us.
But it's true, though, when you go to a public investigation, people want to see that equipment that they see on TV, whether it works or not.
That's absolutely true.
Whether it's scientific. I mean, most equipment is not scientifically proven to produce anything. So there's no proof behind any of it other than, hey, this is neat. But, it is what it is. And when you're talking ITC, what is your favorite ITC device at this point?
I've just been using a lot of the apps and just playing with them. ITC Legion has out some really cool apps that I've used that have really yielded some really good results. So I've just
which
been
ones
using
are those? You can throw out names.
I'm sure I'm rattling in my head right now of exactly what the name is.
Just shake your head.
I don't know. I'm sorry. ITC Legion.
Just shake it around a little bit. It'll come out just like an Etch-a-Sketch.
ITC Legion, they're the app makers. If you Google ITC Legion and all the applications he has, he makes a lot of them. They're very affordable. He spends a lot of quality time putting them together. And those are ones that I've used and yielded some really good results. I can't think of the exact names of all of them. I just always call him ITC Legion because that's the name of the company. And he sends me all this stuff after he does it. So sometimes
I know the new one on your phone. You use that a lot.
Oh, that's a new one that I've been using. What is it called? Necrophonics. I've been using that.
Necrophonic. A lot of people have been talking about that one.
Yeah, that's something recently I stumbled onto, and I've been really like taking it everywhere with me and trying it, and I'm finding that the longer I use that particular app, it seems to know me more. And it's more or less, I'm realizing that particular app for me feels more like a Ouija board than it does an actual application, because it kind of freaks me out. It talks a lot about my wife anytime the application's open.
But you don't realize you don't say goodbye. When you open that, you never say goodbye.
Yeah, but that's another thing about us. Marie and I do never say goodbye on investigations, generally speaking, unless...
I have been starting to.
Here lately, as we've gotten older and not wanting to deal with a lot of the garbage, yes, we will say goodbye. And I recommend people do that. I started doing that on and off probably only about 2 years ago, after all the years of me investigating, because it's just, I don't know. I'm not saying I'm old, but the older I get, it's like, okay, let's not be reckless here. Let's do this. Because, we're kind of in a position where we're kind of around this stuff all the time. So we've been able to have some really great breakthroughs by not closing out sessions. And then later on having visitations here at my own life, my own, in my own home, that have actually gone on to really help and give some answers to some clients that we've had. So, but I really was never a really big believer in protection and all that kind of stuff. I lead with my faith and interpretation of God. But other than that, like, we don't stones, crystals, smudging, none of that stuff is used.
I totally think this stuff works on other people. It's just because we don't really believe in it. It doesn't really work for us. I think people have to remember, if you're going to use something to protect yourself, you have to be the believer.
Well, for me, like, my faith,
ours is our faith.
My faith doesn't lie in smoke or dust or salt. It lies in God. So for us, I guess that's how only way I can interpret how our protection is. But then again, we're paranormal investigators, and the way I look at it sometimes is like, if you play with fire, you're going to ultimately get burned at some point in time. So, right. Sometimes I feel silly, like, asking, hey, God, will you protect me with this? Although full knowing that I'm going into the stupidest place I possibly could.
In the last couple of years, I ended up somewhat sick with an immune disease, and I came open with it to the public because I think it needs to be talked to more. And stuff like that. I have
there's actually there's a lot of women that actually in the paranormal community that struggle with immune system disorders, and I'm just wondering more and more if it isn't
I noticed
an effect
now,
of what we do.
I use a lot more protection. I have a lot of my friends that do Reiki and light energy work. I actually do call on them now to assist me a lot more now. I used to never do that. And I do now because, to be honest with you, I don't have just myself to think about. I have Jay to think about. I have my kids.
I think as you get older in this field too, you become more wise and less reckless and We're not like we used to be very aggressive, emotional investigators for years, especially me. I mean, just like I would push the limits as far as I possibly could, to the point till it's like, why are you doing that? That's stupid, you know? And then finally realized, yeah, Jay, that is really stupid. Why are you doing that? You know? But you live and you learn, and you know, I'm still learning. I don't know everything. People think that because of what we do, we know so much. But I mean, I've learned from everybody. And if I didn't like listen and what is that screaming coming from in our house?
I don't know.
You hear that?
Yeah.
Well,
I'm
you know
sorry.
what? It's okay. We are ready for our next break. So anybody out there that's listening, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat room, either chat room, and I will make sure that I ask. But you're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama, and we will be back with Jay and Marie Yates in just a few minutes.
You're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experience Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Several U.S. presidents are on record talking about the UFO mystery.
Yeah, Presidents Jimmy Carter, Ronald Reagan both had UFO sightings of their own, but the current presidential campaign might be the first in which UFO disclosure has been championed by a major party candidate.
DIA, CIA, it moves around, is operating a program to train psychic spies to spy and use their powers against Russia. John Ronson writes about this in The Men Who Stare at Goats.
The first known sighting of a ghost took place right after Abraham Lincoln was assassinated in the late 1860s during the administration of Ulysses Grant.
Project Paperclip, Clinton releases it all in 1998.
Possibly the unequal cooling of its surface.
I say, do you still think it's a meteor, Professor?
I don't know what to think. The metal casing is definitely extraterrestrial.
It's a place where UFO hunters and scientists gather to examine paranormal activity in the region.
Some of the documents, this is bringing Nazi scientists into the United States to work here. So we fought against the Nazis, and it's not, this again is not a revelation. As early as 1947, 1946, we knew some of this, right?
On the paranormal, will we see U.S. President Barack Obama's foreign policy go intergalactic in a quest for gold stolen by aliens? We'll tell you at least how the White House responded to claims the chief executive has been teleporting to Mars. But let's get to today's Capitol account.
UFOs, hauntings, psychic abilities, conspiracy, ESP, cryptozoology. There are many things that remain unexplained in the inexplicable world around us, and we're talking about them here, looking for answers on WBHM Digital Broadcasting, Birmingham, Alabama. The truth is out there.
Thank you for listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 23 minutes after the hour.
Welcome back to the Paranormal Pride. I'm your host, Denise Pridemore. And on the phone right now, we still have Marie Yates, because Jay's still checking out whatever made a big noise in their house. so hopefully it's just a spirit or a dog, something weird like that, or something normal like that. So when we left, we were talking about women in the paranormal having immune deficiencies or immune diseases. And everybody who knows me knows that last year I had a nodule in my lung that was caused by long-term mold exposure.
Oh.
And we all know that where we hang out, there's usually mold. And usually we do this for a long period of time, and we're getting sick. So needless to say, now I more than likely will end up with some sort of autoimmune disorder at some point. So, and I'm still coughing from all this, and the nodule will never go away. So basically they ended up having to check me for lung cancer last year. Ended up in the hospital with collapsed lung, all that good stuff. So, needless to say, I'm still dealing with all that stuff. And so you guys are seeing basically the same type of stuff that I'm seeing out there, that not that we're going in willy-nilly, it's just that we go in checking these places out, and we are, in the earlier years, we were unaware that there were dangers other than people, other than holes in the floor. And that's the thing that I have been trying to make people aware of a little bit more since last year, because I could have died from all the stuff that had happened to me, which was horrible as it was. But, everybody talks, it's bad enough being attacked by spirits, but then knowing that this other stuff in these locations can kill you.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, it's true. I always try to tell people now, I mean, I don't think anybody even realizes, I mean, it's from your environment can cause all this illness. And plus you don't realize when you're going into this, I mean, if everybody, and now it's coming out more and more when we're going out there, it's sucking our energy. And so it's sucking everything out of it. So your immune system is going. So you're catching colds and sicknesses. And when you're out there more and more, it starts weakening a lot of stuff. And I will honestly say, I mean, they say immune disease is hereditary. I will honestly tell you, there's nobody in my family that we know of, and we know a lot of our history, that has immune disease. So I guess if that is accurate in the medical field, I mean, they have a little study there with mine, because there's nobody else in my family. And we've been really searching it, because I'm like, okay, they're saying it's hereditary. Who has it? The only other thing we could say is back in the day when my grandparents were probably there, immune disease wasn't really brought up. So maybe they did have it. And yeah. But I mean,
had no clue. Yeah.
Yeah. So they didn't have a clue about it. So they weren't tested for it. It's just, I've just seen it. And I will say, with the whole watching when you're going the mold and everything. I know Elaine Davison that we work with a lot. She does. That's one thing I love about her. She goes out and talks about, the safetyness of the paranormal and investigators. Like, hey, she has a book and everything out on it. And I love that because just myself, I mean, you have to protect yourselves out there. I wear masks now in a lot of places that we go, or sometimes I won't even go into a location now. It's just not worth it anymore. I know sometimes now with my feelings of what energy I'm going to feel and stuff, I will say, hey, you know what, hon, I'm going to stay back and I'm going to sit out here. I just don't think it's safe for me. And like I said, I guess I'm getting older. I mean, I don't have just, that paranormal, hotspot. I want to find out the answer. I have my family I have to think about. So I'm not that daredevil that much anymore as I used to be. I think so.
This is a woman that would jump down a spiral staircase or a mine shaft and be the first one wanting to go down the bucket on the Goonies or something. And now she's definitely takes a step back. But I think that's just learning and growing from the field and just educating yourself. And unfortunately, she has some setbacks now with her immune disorders. But I really think that we and another thing on another note to note is that we don't know the side effect of investigating ghosts, or the side effect of being around long-term spirits or ghosts or whatever you want to call them. I mean, if spirits are really emitting their own EMF and you're around that EMF, we know that EMF can be dangerous and even cause things like cancer. So with that being said, I mean, we need to start there needs to be more looked into about that, and that long-term exposure with ghosts. And Marie's one of those type of people that makes physical contact with these things,
Mm-hmm.
to where oftentimes she gets scratches, bruised, really messed up by these things. And,
yeah, me too.
see, so you know what we're saying. And like Marie says, she doesn't always feel like they're just trying to hurt her. It's just like you're asking to communicate, and that might be their form of communication. Or if she gets scratched in the back a lot, sometimes they're trying to talk to us. We can't hear them, and we walk away. Them scratching on the back might just be them trying to reach out and say, "Hey, you, like, why are you not talking to me anymore?" And then it shows up on her body as marks when they never intended on doing that. So I always laugh when I see the in some of the shows.
I always say I'm allergic to spirits.
And maybe you are. We don't know, right?
People are allergic to all different kinds of things, and I say, well, maybe the reason I get red marks or bruise, maybe I'm allergic to spirits.
And you could be. We don't know, right? Really.
Well, I had a theory at the Sally house is that I would get handprints, 4 fingers on the inside of my arm where I couldn't do it. It would make it look like somebody was holding my arm there. That until I would tell the true story. And once I started making sure that the true story was told, I never got bruised again.
Oh, wow.
So it took a while for me to figure out what was going on. But once I started started doing the research and got the truth out there and saying, hey, there was never a little girl that died here. There was no Sally. It worked out. I stopped getting bruised. Now then, other things started happening, but I stopped getting bruised. And, I stopped telling them, hey, the doctor that lived here wasn't a bad guy, making sure that they knew that, started telling factual stories about the house. A lot of things stopped happening to me. Other things started happening, though. The truth got me into a lot of trouble with the people who wanted Sally to be real and wanted all this other stuff. But the truth, the truth was much more interesting to me than the legend. But yeah, I got scratched from something else that was in the house, but it had nothing to do with this little girl that people thought was in the house. There was something else that was causing this thing to look like a little girl, but that's a whole different story. Wow. Yeah, it's horrible that people want to believe and want to bring toys to a little girl that never existed, and when you tell them that, they get really upset. Hard to believe people can get upset about a child that never lived.
Right. No, I get
it's a whole other story. So someday you'll probably go out there and you'll watch that episode of Ghost Adventures that I'm on, and you'll go, huh, really? And you go, that's kind of weird. But, someday maybe I'll sit down and tell everybody the whole story about what's really happened in that house. And they'll go, huh, why is that? I wasn't even haunted. So it's weird as to, I nobody will ever know why it was haunted. It was haunted. It's just, why was it? No. Did you ever come across any places like that had strange legends that couldn't be proven?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We work with one right now, and it's the Sunkiss factory, the old Sunkiss factory. There's like really no great documentation of death specifically inside the building, just kind of around the building, and some things just don't add up. It's just like, but it's so hard to kind of justify how much of a haunting. It's a very powerful haunting that they have there. It doesn't seem like, how is this really happening in this location? And to explain it to people, and they want answers to why it's happening. And it's really, I don't know. This was a location where people used to work at. It was a very, a huge part in people's lives. And in a huge part in the community. So some of these people, maybe they're still there, walking around, working there. But yeah, we've run across a few places where it's like, how do I get the information to justify the haunting?
Right. It's kind of like when we watch Amy Allen and Steve DeShavi. stuff may not have happened in the house, but it happened within the area around the house.
Exactly.
And somehow it
made its
there
way
was
in.
like there's a lighthouse in that house, somebody in that house that's drawing it in. Like Marie, she's she's
absolutely.
empathic. She's drawing something to her, and it's coming to her. Not that saying that. I mean, maybe there's a Marie in every house. Who knows?
Yeah, true. And just like you were just talking about earlier, the Lutz Casino we were talking about, we've had a couple shows for that location. Even when Ghost Adventures came out here and they had their entire team researching it, they came up with like one small newspaper clipping that might have said, okay, well, there might have been some type of, what did they call it? Like mysticism or something that was occurring within the building, but it was nothing concrete, So it's like, well, why is it happening? And I'm like, well, that's why that you guys were here. Maybe you
a lot of people don't want to document some of the bad stuff back in the day.
Especially back in the day, a lot of that was hidden.
It was hidden. I mean, that hotel, the Central Hotel, was a hotel where
there's some shady people that
stayed in there. Up there, and what they did and what was happening.
And it depends on if shady people own the newspaper too.
True. That's true.
Or if very good people own the newspaper and were terrified of the shady people. You have your town, because if you go back in the day, 90% of the towns, everything was in the newspaper. This person's in town visiting this person. They're there for this many days doing trading horses, and they're leaving and they're staying at this hotel. Because, when you do research, you'll find that out. You can find out everything about, why, John McPike went here to this town and was there for 3 weeks, and then left and came back, got married, and then left again. You can find out a lot. You can find out things such as that, people like Amelia Earhart that were supposedly born in one place were actually born in another.
Right.
Yep.
Shh. Nobody's supposed to know that. Shh. Yeah. Denise knows something that TV doesn't know. So here's another question from Sherry. What has been your all-time favorite place to investigate, and what happened there that made them love or leave the place?
My favorite location to go and investigate now is actually, and we just got there a little over a year now, is Fulcher City Ghost Town. And the reason why I say it's mine, it's every time you go there, you get something. And it's an amazing, I remember the very first time Jay and I and one of our investigators went out there, and we're like, oh my goodness, this is a huge town, ghost town out in the desert. So you're not going to get all this noise, anything, lights. There was no electricity, nothing. So it's like, oh, this is going to be awesome. And we're sitting on the picnic table getting ready for the investigation, like, oh, this is so awesome. We're all alone. And I turned around and I looked at both of the Jay and our other investigator. I'm like, no, we're not. I could feel like, and I heard like hundreds and hundreds of people just talking, just like they were back in the day when Vulture City was actually a running town. So it's like, it's just an amazing, my kid, our son, calls it Disneyland. It's his Disneyland. It's just an amazing, I'm glad now we get to bring other people out to it now, because we do a Paracon and we do events out there. But that's my location. Before that, I will always used to say, and I'll never ever, I love it, is Jerome, Arizona. That city is just
Mile High Town.
Yeah, Mile High Town, and it's amazing. I can't say just one location. The whole town is haunted, and it's amazing. What's yours?
And a friend of mine, he lives in. I work with a bunch of people in Phoenix and Tucson. And they're telling me all the time, you need to come down here to Jerome. You need to come down here to Phoenix. You need to come down here and check out Tombstone. And it's like, when I'm driving through, Flagstaff and Williams, which Williams has got, I'm going to tell you, my favorite place in Williams is the pie place. So
there,
but
we hear everyone talk about that place. We should go there one time.
oh, it is so good. The pie's as big as your
talk
head.
about that place.
But
Yeah.
but it's just right off of the highway, and so we just go straight across we just go straight across 40 when we drive. So we don't usually get to go down that far south. So, but we hear people tell us all the time, you need to go down to Jerome. So that just, we'll have to do that at some point. So,
and you have
so
good
Jay,
spirits.
how about your place?
My place,
Good spirits.
Yeah, my places that I enjoy going the most, it would have to be Tombstone and Vulture City. Tombstone is like one of those places. I grew up watching all the old westerns and whatnot, and when I go to Tombstone, it's like I never want to leave. Like, we go there for a weekend, it's like, no, I don't want to go home. And I don't really go there for ghost hunting anymore. I just kind of go there just to kind of be engulfed in the history and just relax. It's just one of those places that has a really good vibe, a really good energy, with a lot of great people out there. Of course, the place is supernaturally charged. It's amazing. But it's just, I feel very comfortable there. And this is that crazy haunted town. Vulture City, I know a lot of people are like, oh, you guys promote that so much. It's because it's your place. It's not our place. We just work out of there. We have some really great partners that own the place. And they've done a really good job about historically, like, renovating every single building there. It's 15 acres, 12 standing, verified haunted buildings. And it's just, and there's no power lines, there's no water, there's no corruption from the outside element. So when you're getting these EMF spikes, you can't really say, hey, it's your, it's that power source, or it's that satellite, or it's this or that. You know what I mean? It's nothing out there. It's completely off the grid. So it's like Tombstone without any of the modern day amenities, and a heck of a lot more ghosts,
Yeah.
Yeah. A friend of mine, Rhonda and Dwight Hall, do an event down in Tombstone every year. So they keep telling me we need to come down there. It's like I said, it's just so far off of 40.
Oh,
when we're going to
so
Vegas,
far
it's
down.
That's an extra day.
Yeah,
that's an extra
really
day.
is.
And or 2 days technically. So by the time you get down there and check it out, and then you got. So, but now we got extra people we could visit, and I got family in Tucson. See, we got a reason to go.
I will say it's worth it going to Tombstone.
You know what? We're coming up on another. It is. That's good. Because we've always talked about going to Tombstone only because of the fact, just the history, not the spirits, but the history of it.
Absolutely.
It's just like Dodge City, Kansas.
Right.
I mean, we live in Kansas. Dodge City's can be on the way to Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
And we drive past the exit and still haven't made it. We've also been by the hideout for the Dalton gang.
Oh, that's cool.
Still haven't stopped there. Drive right by it. And it's like, okay, well, why aren't we oh, well. But yeah, we've got all kinds of history around here. We just never make it to it. But you know what? We're up on our next break. Everyone, this is our last break. So if you have any questions for Jay or Marie, I keep calling her Maria, and I'm sorry, Marie, please put them in the chat, and I will make sure I get those questions asked. So you're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama, and we will be back in just a couple minutes, and we're going to have a great time.
You're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experienced Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
To the believer, the evidence is overwhelming. To the skeptic, there will never be enough. Hello, everyone. Join Kevin and Jennifer Malik, the host of Paraversal Universe, every Friday here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting. Also heard on WCET-FM and The Rift. Log on or tune in as they check out the mysteries found within the 8 categories of the unknown and unexplained, including ghosts and haunted places, aliens and UFOs, theology and mythology, cryptids and monsters, urban legends and folklore, conspiracies, metaphysics, and forbidden archaeology. Listen as Kevin and Jennifer interview the top minds in their respective fields as they share theories and information regarding these unsolved mysteries. For future show and archive information, one can find Paraversal Universe on Facebook, Twitter, and MeWe under various Paraversal Universe headings. So, for excellent talk radio about the unknown and unexplained, check out Paraversal Universe, where all paranormal perspectives apply. Brought to you by the Northern Wisconsin Paranormal Society, Ltd., and produced by WBHM-DB.com.
Thank you for listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 45 minutes after the hour.
Welcome back to the Paranormal Pride. I'm your host, Denise Pridemore, and tonight my guests have been wonderful, and I hope you guys have enjoyed Jay and Marie Yates. And we're going to start off this part of the show with, where can everybody find Jay and Marie coming up? You know, you guys have, I know you have tons of stuff planned for 2020, so let's start with what you got planned coming up.
Yeah. Right now we have one more event left this year. So if anyone around the Vulture City area, on the 7th of December, we will be hosting a public ghost hunt. This is a couple weeks away, and that's going to be the last event for us for the year. But to find us and where we're at, you'd go to yatesfamilyhaunting.com, and on yatesfamilyhaunting.com, I'm sorry, my wife's talking to me and she's walking away. You can go to yatesfamilyhaunting.com or vulturecityparacon.com, because that's a big one that we have each year. That's one that both Marie and I host with the lovely owners of Vulture City. We have some great talent coming out there the first weekend of October of 2020. We have the godfather of paranormal, John Zaffis, a really dear friend of Maureen and I's, is coming out there. We have Mark, the creator of Salem Con, is taking a year off of Salem Con and coming out to Vulture City to come exploring the town with us. And we have Sarah from Ghosts of Morgantown coming out this year. So we have a pretty cool lineup. We got 20 other speakers on top of that coming out.
Ghosts of Morgan City?
Yeah, the Sarah from the psychic from Ghosts of Morgan town or city? City?
Morgan City. Morgantown is in West Virginia.
Obviously, Morgantown. I did this. Shepherdstown is what screwed me up, because that was the other sister show of that. But yeah, so we got that. We have that coming up next fall, 2020. But before then, you can catch us at. We have a lot of stuff going on next year. A lot of stuff's in the works right now, of course, with it being coming towards the end of this year, and we're still trying to finalize some things. We're really excited about going out to Plymouth Paracon. That's Sam Beltrusis event. So we'll be out there in Plymouth. So we'll be out there in the Massachusetts area.
Yeah, the end of September, last weekend of September.
Last weekend of September of 2020. So those people on the East Coast, they can reach us out there. So that's a really great opportunity for those East Coasters who don't normally get to see us that much. And in May, we're going to be where, Marie?
Virginia City.
Are we going to be in May in Virginia City? Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right. Sorry. In May, we're going to be in Virginia City, Nevada. So for those people in and around that area, Virginia City obviously has been featured on Ghost Adventures a million times, along with other storytelling shows and whatnot. It's a huge hotbed for paranormal activity. So we're excited to be out there. I think it's the third year in a row that we're going to be at that particular event.
Doug
McCarnahan puts it on. Carnahan, he puts it on. And it's just a great show. He's got some really great guests coming out there as well. I think he's just finalized his lineup today. I'm not sure though, but you can check that out.
Could be adding more. Don't know.
So that's Virginia City, Nevada. So that's going to be a big one for us.
I know we have a couple other ones. One's going to be like a surprise thing, but we'll be heading out to some other states and stuff. But I will say, I know Sherry was talking. We were supposed to be at an event that got canceled in Tennessee. Or I think
we have heard more from that particular event. There was a lot of people super excited for us to go to Tennessee.
I will say we, my son, our 18-year-old son is a St. Jude's patient. And we go out there every year. Well, myself does mostly. Sometimes Jay will go with us. But this year we wanted to sort of make it like a trip thing. So we're hoping after our son's visit.
You know our phone's going to blow up after this.
Yeah.
You just said that.
I'm hoping after our son's appointment in Memphis, we are going to expand it and do some investigation things in Tennessee and Kentucky. So that's what we're hoping.
Do you guys happen to have anything happening in Illinois?
Not solidified yet by any means, but there's definitely we've been in talks with someone with a con that's out there. So as far as whether or not that will or will not happen, it's unclear. So as a lot of these things, sometimes it's like, they wait around and then they give you the information, but we would definitely love to come to your area. So if you Paracon holders out there, are interested in Marie and I appearing and speaking at your event or doing whatever, definitely reach out to us on yatesfamilyhaunting.com and try to make arrangements to get us out there. We'd love to get further out east, of course. We have a lot of friends out on the east.
I would love to go back to my home area.
Indiana,
I'm from
Michigan area?
Indianapolis. It's Midwest.
Yeah,
I mean, that's where I grew up. So
There's a lot of things that are haunted in that area.
Yep, I have my older son lives up there in Michigan, so it's been a while. He usually always comes and visits us, just because he likes to get away from up there. So he comes
From the
here.
cold.
Yeah,
Yep.
so he always him and his girlfriend come here. But I will honestly say, it would be nice to go up there and visit. So
yeah,
Get
absolutely.
in touch with the Michigan Paracon up there, the Upper Peninsula Paracon up there.
oh, that one is a good one.
That would be an absolute honor to be a part of that one of these days for
Yeah.
sure. That's obviously that's like a bucket list Paracon, right? I mean, that's one of those ones that year after year it just has a huge following and great participation. Next year you're going to probably see a lot more of Marie and I on television. We're doing a lot of different stuff that we can talk about, stuff that we can't talk about. But it's looking like you're going to be seeing us a little bit more on your TV sets as far as like some new projects that we have brewing. So that will be fun. But I mean, that's kind of like a nonstop, like here and there, little cameos, maybe here and there. There's one show that we might be filming in early January that I think you guys would be very happy with if it all turns out the way it looks like it's going to. You guys will be very happy with seeing that.
Is it a new show or an existing show?
It's a new but existing show.
Okay.
A newer existing show. Let's just put it that way.
Okay.
With some people that we know, and it definitely would it would be something cool to be able to share with you guys. So something that's near and dear to our hearts. So we have some cool little projects coming up that we're really excited about.
The other projects we're doing would be a brand new show, but there is some other things of existing ones as well.
Yeah. And then that's a sea of shows that are out there right now.
Okay. I have this awful word that I say a lot. People don't usually hear it on the radio, but there's a buttload of new shows. I usually say I say it a different way when I'm not on the radio, but there's a ton of new shows out there, and some are just remakes of old shows, but there's a ton coming out, and I'm really looking forward to the new one with Sean Austin, because he was on the Demon Files, and I really liked Ralph Sarchie, his no nonsense way of handling stuff.
Yes.
And I don't know if you guys have seen the show Evil that's on TV. I mean, it is written really well, and Ralph Sarchie is a consultant on that. And
okay.
Yeah, so that puts a whole new light on it if you didn't know that.
Yeah.
So he's got a lot of input into it, and I'm watching it, and I'm seeing a lot of stuff that really coincides with the way things are truly done. And it reminds me a lot of the show The Exorcist that was on. And because I thought that was written really well too. And I don't like, big shock, I don't like horror. I don't like blood and gore.
You sound like my wife, Marie.
but I do love supernatural. the TV show Supernatural, but I can't watch the blood and gore. I know, strange, but that's just me. Texas Chainsaw Massacre. No, I don't like that.
Just
stuff.
can't handle that.
No, even though I thought it was funny back in the day, it was because it was funny, the old one.
Right.
But no, I can't handle that stuff. I like the 1408 type stuff.
Oh, I got you.
The things that make you think.
The ones,
and
yep.
That's the ones I like.
And The Exorcist and This Evil is making you think.
Yeah, the show Evil is amazing. I just want to throw that out there. That is an amazing. Blew me away, actually.
It
so
is.
I really
well
do
written.
like, and I hope that they continue on in making more seasons of that, because it seems like just kind of like right on point. It's not too far in either direction. It kind of stays like, it's just great. I mean, it's just a really well written. But yeah, great show. But there's a lot of content out. There's a lot of paranormal out there. There's a lot of TVs and shows. I mean, between the Annabelles and the Conjurings and all this stuff that's coming out, it's just it's great. I mean, I love it all. Although I know half of it is
You know what though? I haven't been to the movie theater, so I have no clue about any of the movies that are out there.
Oh, really? Wow.
The last movie I went to was, what was the last movie we went to, Ron? Soul Survivor? Lone Survivor? Something like that.
Wow. Oh,
yeah.
wow. That was a while ago.
Yeah, it's unusual if we go to a movie, mostly because of the fact that I don't have the time to sit there and
go to.
I don't want to pay for somebody else's opinion to be shoved down my throat in case there's something in there I don't want to hear.
We've been very fortunate. We get these invites to these paranormal movies, and they want us to do talks before the screenings, and give feedback about like paranormal phenomenon or whatever the genre is. Like we'll open for like movies like Ouija, Conjuring, stuff like that, and we talk about haunted objects and this and that. So then we get the seats and we get to actually watch these, and they give our feedback and record it and put it somewhere. I don't know where they put it, but I mean, that's how we get. But it feels like more work leading up to it, and then having to watch it. Then we're like, oh my gosh, we actually have to pay attention because they're going to ask us questions when it's over with.
Yeah, you know what? We're going to have to talk again because you brought up some more things that I would like to ask. Sure. But I wanted to make sure that this was all about what my audience hadn't heard you guys before, so I wanted to make sure that they got to know who you were and everything like that. And plus, now I know you a little bit better. Absolutely. Now I know what I can talk to you about and really get to know you. And now I know that you're friends with Jay Lynch, and now I really got to watch you. And
I tell Jay, it's Teresa and Jay Lynch.
It's Jay and Teresa.
No,
Lynch.
Teresa and Jay Lynch.
Ask Jay, he'll tell you.
Well, if you notice, when I did my show for you guys, since I did Jay and Teresa first on mine, this one I did Marie and Jay, so that I didn't screw up when I was trying to talk about you guys when I was during last week's show, because I was going to do it. I was going to end up saying that you guys were them last week or something. And I think I did do that last week. So it's like, out of all the times for me to get everybody's names mixed up was not a good time. But I'm going to tell you guys, thank you so much for being on. And I want to take a few minutes here to tell everybody, if you're out there and you're depressed or feeling suicidal, please know that there's somebody out there that's going to listen to you. If you can't find someone, I'm here. Send me a message. I'll listen. Anybody that's worth their weight will be there to listen to you. If that doesn't help, use Google and look up the suicide hotline number, because you are worth it, and I want you to be here for the holidays for your family. So just know somebody's there and somebody will listen. That's all I want to say about that. I don't want to bring anybody down. And I want to tell everybody happy Thanksgiving. And I want everyone to have the best turkey day ever. And pray that we don't get a whole lot of ice. I don't want any ice for Thanksgiving.
Just turkey.
Well, no, they're calling for us to get rain Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and some of that is, they're saying our high is going to be like 37 and our low is going to be like 32 on Thanksgiving.
Possible ice, huh?
Yeah, possible. And so if you're watching I think the Chiefs are playing on Thanksgiving Day. That might be not. When are they playing? Sunday. Playing Sunday. Sunday's supposed to be icy. Oh, that's crappy. So we were thinking about going to St. Louis. So so that's not good. Yeah, it's just this time of year, you just don't know what we're going to get. It's just like last year, everybody goes, "Oh, Arizona, it doesn't get bad weather." Yeah, it does. Flagstaff gets more snow than Buffalo. Yeah.
Quick funny story. We were going to Tombstone, Arizona last year, and we went through a snowstorm getting to Tombstone. So crazy things do happen even in Arizona.
Oh, yeah. You saw Mike's trip out there. He ended up in snow in Albuquerque on the way there, but that's not unusual because we've had ice and snow, sleet coming back in March and April, twice coming through there. And when we came back in February, we timed it just perfect coming from Vegas to home. We missed the ice storm in Williams and the snowstorm in Flagstaff. It had been through the day before. And then there was an ice storm behind us that apparently it came in like 2 days behind us. So we had timed everything just perfect to where we got home before the storm, because it wasn't you don't drive to Vegas that time of year unless you have to, from Kansas to there. So it wasn't a fun trip. So, but everybody, I hope everybody has a great Thanksgiving. Next week, my guest is, let's see, it's going to be somebody really good. I know it is. My guest next week is Michelle Hamilton. She is a paranormal author. She used to be the docent at the Whaley House in San Diego, and she is a tour guide, and I think she's the docent at the Martha Washington House, Mary Washington. I think it's Martha Washington. But you know what? I'll know for sure by Monday. I sat next to her at the Haunted Road Media Paracon this last year, and we had a great time. Her favorite thing was that I like live PD. So we had a really good talk about live PD. Well, you know what? My picture is of the Pinal County Sheriff, me and him together. So so that's what she liked. So you tune in next week to when we talk to Michelle Hamilton, and we're all going to have a great time. And thank you guys so much for being on. You're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. And see you soon.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk only on Paranormal Experience Radio. Broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.